Welcome to Is Anybody Listening to Me podcast with Azar and the Meat. Today we'll be giving the final conclusion to WandaVision, discussing Coming to America 2. Big Meat, with his continual alcohol problem, will be sharing another beer of choice. And then our third man in is going to help us dive into football. So let me just jump right into it. Big Meat, what's the drink of the day?
We're gonna jump right into the drink of the day. Well, yes, we do have a drink. We do have a new drink. We've been kind of slacking a little bit on our beverages as of late, and we haven't done a beer. Actually, you did a pretty good beer a couple of podcasts ago, but I do have a new beer that I do want to talk about. And before R3 goes apeshit, this beer did come out back in mid-January, so it's been out on the market now a couple of months. Forgive me if he's already tried this over at Potter's house or wherever, a night of drinking with the boys, and it's old news to him. But hopefully it's new news to you guys and to the rest of the listeners.
Well, it's not news to R3 because he is like the oracle. He knows everything, has tried everything. He can correct us on everything we say. So we should just change his name from R3 to the Oracle.
Yeah, the fact checker.
The fact checker.
I am here purely as your R3 antidote.
Oh, good. Yeah, you are his kryptonite. I like it.
You are his nemesis. He is like this mysterious villain in the background that we want to meet before the podcast is like, people are going to wonder who R3 is. And I didn't realize he was jumping right into discussing R3. All right, well, that's fine. But please, what do you tell us?
So R3, just to give a quick explanation to those who are listening who don't know who he is. He's just a friend in the group that he just kind of randomly just goes on a rage here and there, and he likes to fact check us every once in a while. He is an avid listener, so he is a loyal fan, and we respect that. We do love that he is one of our more loyal listeners, but he's one of our more vocal listeners as well. And
he hate listens. He doesn't listen for joy. He hate listens.
Hate listens. I like that.
So.
But you said earlier he's the mysterious. He's kind of like the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace behind it all. Anyway, let's get right into
where Roper is like Jar Jar Binks of the group.
Jar Jar Binks. Good one. All right, let's get into the this drink here. It is I'm not a big fan of IPAs. I think I've mentioned that before on this podcast. I was over somebody's house over the weekend. He offered me a beer, and I looked at it, and it was, I noticed it was IPA, so I didn't really give it much thought. But I said, hey, I'll give it a try. It's the new Samuel Adams Wicked Double IPA. Now they have a Wicked Hazy IPA, and they also have another beer called Wicked Easy, which is basically their light beer. That's not an IPA. But I've tried their Wicked Hazy, and it tastes like an IPA. It's very bitter, which I'm not a big fan of. But this double IPA, and it's exactly how it sounds like. It's a double. It's a strong New England IPA, which is less bitter than your traditional American IPAs. This one's really good. It's still a little bit bitter, but it's kind of a personal preference of mine whether you like IPAs or not. But whether you do like IPAs or not, you got to try the new Samuel Adams Double. It's called Wicked Double IPA. Basically, it's kind of a long title. It's Samuel Adams Wicked Double Hazy Juicy Double New England IPA. It's really good. I don't recommend a lot of beers. I know, Jarvis, you're not a big fan of IPAs either. You got to try this one. It's not as bitter as your traditional. Like I said, New England IPAs are not really that bitter to begin with. But
is it hoppy? Does it got that strong hoppy taste to it?
No, a little bit. You can taste it. That's why I said whether you like IPAs or not, I think this is a beer that you might actually enjoy. What I did learn with Sam Adams is when they went to go brew this new beer, when they tasted it, they realized that they forgot one of the ingredients. So they went back and added that missing ingredient, and then the one that they forgot to add the ingredient actually tasted better. So they just went with that. It was kind of like a screw up on their part, and they said, "Oh, we just kind of accidentally came up with this beer that's pretty good." If you look at the ingredients between the Wicked Hazy and the Wicked Double, they're very similar. the hops are slightly different. So maybe that ingredient that they forgot was one of the hops they normally put in their Wicked Hazy beer. But so maybe it's that specific type of hop that they didn't put in there that actually makes it taste pretty good. It comes in a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans, and it's got 8.3% alcohol by volume, so pretty strong. You don't need to drink too many of them. And then there's also, I don't know if you're familiar with the IBU, which is basically the abbreviation for the International Bitterness Units. So I don't like bitter tasting beer. So to give you a frame of reference, the units for this beer is at 30, whereas the hazy is 35. So you think a double IPA would even be more bitter, but it's not. It's so much less. So again, I don't recommend a lot of these type of beers, but this one is actually pretty good.
So what you're saying is the ingredient that makes IPAs taste like garbage, they forgot to put in, so this IPA doesn't taste like garbage.
That's a great point. That is a great point. That's probably what it is. They don't really say what the ingredient is, but that's probably
I'm sold. You had me at they forgot the shitty hops.
Yeah. But surprisingly good, and like I said, 8.3%. I like
That's
those strong beers. Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah. The hazy is actually pretty strong itself. It's 6.8%, but this one's just on another level.
He drinks so much whiskey, like regular beer doesn't help him anymore. He needs like high potent IPAs to give him a little bit of a thing, a little extra kick for Big Meat.
A little extra kick. Yeah.
I've been like, keep seeing it in the market. I want to reach for it. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd like it. It just doesn't, I don't know if I'm into those double IPA type of things. If it's
Well, you know what? I don't know what other New England IPA I've tried, but New England IPAs are known to be less bitter. This might be the first New England IPA I've ever tried. So
isn't Harpoon an IPA?
No, Harpoon IPA is the IPA.
Yeah, but that's one of their popular beers, right? Like when you
get
to
New England? Is that New England IPA?
They're brewed in New England.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, you can brew anything anywhere. New England style IPA is like the process versus you have the double IPA, you have the 60-minute, you have the 90, whatever, and all. So there's different ways it's made. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not like Scotch is whiskey in Scotland and bourbon is whiskey in Kentucky.
I never knew there was like different.
Yeah, these beers are described as hazy, and typically New England IPAs are considered have that hazy color to it. Wow. It's like just like a fuller body. But yeah, this one's really good, really, really good, and I bet this is going to take off. I wouldn't be surprised by summertime everyone's going to be talking about drinking these wicked IPAs.
Are you sure it's going to be lasting through the summer, or are they going to pull it? Like, is it seasonal?
I don't think is it. I wouldn't think it's seasonal. No, I mean I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but it's but whether it's seasonal or not, you know what? People will still drink it. If it's seasonal, people will drink it next season.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Normally I stay away from double IPAs, especially because I think an IPA is so bad that when you drink it, why would I want to have something that's twice as bad in one bottle or one can? You have sold me that this double IPA is twice the beer, and they forgot to put the gross thing that makes an IPA gross in. So I'm all about it.
Yep.
And
everything else is the same.
I'm even willing to go down the rabbit. As long as you keep your yeast to yourself, all right. I'm willing to go down this rabbit hole, and we should explore like the depths of the IPA world, because I feel like that's like the craft. If you want to start a craft brewery, you start with an IPA, because I feel like it's getting your driver's permit for beer. It's just like everybody's throwing IPAs all over the place. What we should do is try to figure out the difference between them all, and like let's get a bunch of shitty IPAs and like one sip and and get rid of it because it sucks. But then try to figure out if we can really find a difference between like, do we prefer English style IPA, American IPA, New England IPA, double IPA? Let's try to go with a taste. We can take input from the IPA drinkers on our sourced thread here, and I'm sure R3 and COVID Boy will have all of the suggestions in the world, and let alone Antifa telling us.
I was going to say Antifa Boy as well.
I was going to say Antifa Boy would be one of the lone experts.
Drive to Wisconsin to get this one beer that they brew once every 6,000 years. It's perfect.
Well, the craft cellar. I'm sure we could get different
I'm
selections.
sure we can. I think the IPA crowd is big, though. I mean, I'm in the minority when it comes to that type of stuff, and I will acknowledge that. So again, when I say I don't dispute the podcast credibility because of my take on IPAs, I will disclaimer that.
Well,
but I'm willing to get down with an IPA review.
You know what we need to do? We need to do it as part of our brewery tour. Just go to different breweries and try their IPAs. Make that as part of our reason to go out. I think it's market research when we have to go out. Though it's like at least once a week we have to go out drinking. I mean, researching.
So yeah, that's right. That's right. I like how you put that. I'm very much in the same category with Jarvis. I don't like the flavor. I don't like the taste of IPAs. If we were going to do our research and go out and try different IPAs, every IPA that I've tried, I've hated. So if we're going to go out and try New England IPAs, now maybe.
But so maybe we can hammer this down off the air a little bit. But like whether we line up a bunch of New England IPAs or whether we line up a bunch of variety of different types of IPAs and figure out if there's one genre of IPA that we like and then go into that further. But like if you want to skip that part and go right to the New England IPA, then we can sample New England IPAs. And if we recommend one, then it has to be good because we hate that shit.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think that's fair.
That's a good point. Yeah, and that's exactly my point here. Is I hate IPAs. This one's actually pretty good. So I like.
We might have to do that together.
Definitely recommend.
Like the cheesesteak thing, just lay out a bunch and do shots. Because I'm not buying multiple 6-packs of that crap and getting stuck with them. Because I'm just being honest. Like I don't want.
We'll invite Antifa over to drink all the dribbles. Be like, hey, this can's half done. Crack that back, and he'll just be in his Antifa glory, sipping on an IPA that was free.
All right. Fair enough.
By the way, I should mention too is I've been saving another drink for next week's podcast. I won't announce it on this podcast, but it's a very special new drink that I want to make. There's a little teaser for the next podcast, guys.
Is it?
I'm going to save that one for next week.
Highball?
I think you both will enjoy it.
Good.
Very much. Yes.
I'll give some.
I know what it is.
I'm going to share some good news for the group because summer is coming soon. Is that Truly, and this is for you, Big Meat, because I know you need the extra kick. But Truly is coming out with a Truly Extra that's going to have 8% alcohol in every one of them. So there you go. There's going to be some summer fun for Big Meat when he starts throwing back to Truly Extras.
Not a big seltzer fan.
Oh, you're such a liar.
How much you say? 8%?
8% alcohol.
I'll stick to my Wicked Double. That's at 8.3.
Okay. All right. I guess it's just me and Jarvis then drinking Truly Extras.
I'm on it. Let's go.
Everybody knows. I can't hide it. Everybody knows I drink Truly. So that's just I can't even pretend that it's not even for me.
Let's not revisit that White Claw Truly debate, though. That was a train wreck.
Ugliness. Hey, but you know what? I did want to throw out an idea while we're talking before we go into entertainment. I was watching Big Meat make his cheesesteaks the other day, right? In that collection for his family. He was putting it on display. And we see Biohazard Boy there, Super Spreader. He does his display of sandwiches. And everybody like brags about what they made and they put it in these sandwiches. And I made a sandwich today. And I realized something that when we talk about it, and it was something I learned when we were doing the cheesesteak contest, the bread makes such a huge difference on the outcome of that sandwich. Like it plays such a huge role if you actually enjoy that sandwich or not. And I'm just going to say
no pun intended. The bread plays a huge role.
Hey, leave my wit alone. Okay. I'm just trying to throw it in there. Don't spoil, but I would love to just sit down and come up with a collection of the best sub rolls, like for home stuff. Like if you're making a cheesesteak or tuna fish sub or something. I found this roll at the market. I was so excited. It was like this extra crusty bread and it looked so it was so good. And then
you're not selling it with the word crusty.
The crust, the darker crust bread, like that has that crunch to it. And like some of the French breads do.
Sorry, R3 right now is screaming. It's called stale bread.
It's not stale bread. Anyways, the point of the story is I got this bread.
That's a word that Super Spreader would never use to describe his food.
The moral of the story is I got this bread. I made my sandwich, and the bread was so soft, it like collapsed. I was so heartbroken. Like the sandwich like couldn't hold the food. And I'm like, that ruins a cheesesteak, right? If you get a cheesesteak and the bread just like the cheesesteak is falling through the bread. So I'm just saying, maybe we got to go and do a little research and make some recommendations when we talk about cheesesteaks and meatball sauce, whatever you're going to make. I think you need quality bread. I think that's just I'm making.
I
think
agree.
we should do it.
No, I fully agree. And I'm still on the hunt for the best sub roll bread. It's like I haven't found the perfect one yet. And you're right. I hate it when you get the ones that looks good and it's, and then once you throw the cheesesteak in there, whatever sandwich you're making, and the thing starts falling apart. And it's just,
you ever get a Day Fresh? Did you ever get like a Day Fresh Fantini sub roll?
I have. Yeah. They're good. Oh. There's a few brands that make good sub rolls, but I haven't found the best. I'm like meat. Like I've tried different ones and I'm like, is this the best? Is this the one that like I want to buy every time in the market? If I see
I used to work next to the Fantini factory, and every Tuesday, I think it is, they have like they have like a factory store, and it's like an old school sawmill. They blow a whistle, whatever. You can go there and like the bread's coming off the line. Oh. Man, that is good bread.
Yeah. I actually buy the Market Basket, one of their rolls fresh when it's warm.
Oh yeah, the big French loaf or whatever it's called, the French roll. It's like the long one that's in the basket.
Yeah, but it's the red and white bag. It's
yeah. I think it says Paris on it. It's a French roll.
Yeah, that one is fantastic to make subs with. But
when it's fresh.
When it's fresh. That one you got like one day to eat it and then it's like hard as a rock afterwards. But
now my go-to is I'll just get the Martin's potato bread. Those are pretty good. Those are good, but I usually use those as like the rolls for like a breakfast sandwich, like an egg and cheese sandwich. That's what I would use those for. I don't know if their sub rolls are really good, but that's kind of my go-to. But again, going back to like the hoagie rolls or the sub rolls, trying to find a good one. I agree, Azar, with that. I agree with your point.
It's a project we got to take on, especially with the summer months. We're getting into the grilling season, pulled pork season. We got to come up with some good bread for that. And I'm dying, like after seeing Big Meat make those cheesesteaks. I almost went out and bought the stuff, but I'm like, you know what? I'll save that for the weekend. And like, I can't make all this cheesesteak and eat it by myself. I look like a slob.
I just made Irish dinner tonight: corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, carrots. I made the works tonight. Had our St. Patrick's Day feast.
Oh, nice. We're doing that on Friday.
Little early St. Patrick's Day feast.
Yeah. I got a busy week next week, so today was the day.
There you go. Hey, any day is not a good day.
And speaking of the cheesesteaks too, when I was talking to a group of guys the other day about our podcast, I did mention about our world famous cheesesteak podcast that we had over a year ago now. It was before before the pandemic, so maybe a year and a half ago. And surprising that the person I was talking to didn't know that Market Basket actually had cheesesteaks. I said, hey, they were the winner. We tried so many different cheesesteak places. The next day, he actually went to Market Basket and ordered a cheesesteak.
And what did he say?
And came back. And he did say it was good, although I think he was feeling the after effects of a hangover. So he said he's going to try it again without the hangover because it did taste great. It just now he's going to have like the real effect when his mind is clear. So
cheesesteaks do taste much better with a hangover. Like they just seem so satisfying. So I can see that. You know what doesn't ever taste as good? Chinese food doesn't taste as good. It just, you always regret it after when you're eating that stuff drunk. That comes back to haunt you. It makes your hangover even worse, I think, with all the salt and the MSG. Like it sucks any of the last bit of moisture out of your body. All right. Well, we're gonna move on. Thank you, Meat, for the beer recommendation. We got some ideas for future potential podcasts. I think Jarvis has a good one with the IPA tour, New England IPA tour, and then we'll move on from there. So I know Jarvis will probably mute at this point because he's going to hate this next topic with WandaVision. He's gone. All right, Sykes. Wanda Sykes. Yeah, he's on mute and he's still talking. I don't know how he does it. Oh, now he's gone. All right. So Big Meat. We made it through the entire 9 weeks of WandaVision. And it was a roller coaster. It was a slow start. The momentum got going, and then it just took off after that, after a couple of weeks. And we talked about every week, and we had all these theories, and then we get to the end. And now, before I give you my feelings about the episode, I want to know how you felt about it first. Like, what did you think about the WandaVision season finale?
So specifically on the season finale. Okay, so a lot of action, very entertaining all throughout. It didn't really answer it. I think a lot of the predictions that we had never really happened. And I think that's a lot of the complaints that I've been reading online. People saying, "Hey, we kind of thought this was coming or this guy was coming," and it just never happened. So that was the only disappointing part of it. I did like the way it ended. I wanted to see a full action type episode because you watch, especially after those first few episodes where like, what the hell are we watching here? It's like, I Love Lucy, Bewitched episodes. It was just, I knew it was going to pick up, and it started to pick up every single episode after that. I wanted it to end with a bang, and I thought it did. I thought it had a lot of great action in it. Although looking back throughout the season, some of the plot points now, like looking back, were kind of meaningless. Like the villain, the guy that was, what was he in Sword? Right, he was the main villain's character there. Like, what was he trying to do again? I was trying to. When the season ended, I was like, looking back, what was the point of?
He created a vision, the White Vision. He created it, and he wanted his own like super robot. That's basically.
I think he just went out with a whimper. It was just kind of like, oh, that was it, And then Darcy's character, like, where the hell did she end up going? Jimmy Woo, whatever his name is, he didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
The guy from X-Men that played Quicksilver was just ended up being a regular guy that was under a spell and didn't have anything to do with X-Men.
That's supposed to be her husband, or the husband she kept on referring to, Ralph, because his name was Ralph Boner.
Yes.
And that was my husband, Ralph. And I'm like, that's it?
It was that was his house. He lived there, and she just kind of took it away. Some of that part was just a little bizarre, but in terms of the action, I thought it was great.
So I'm with you. And I don't know, like after I thought about it, it was a good TV show, right? It was nice, but I felt like it kind of left you like unfulfilled. Like there was all this potential excitement to get you excited for a future series. And I thought there was going to be more of that. Like, all right, now we've finished this. It's going to leave you on a cliffhanger and you can't wait for X to happen. But I felt like the episode just kind of left you there. It was kind of emotional when the kids and Vision get dissolved back into whatever the ether or the chaos magic that she created. But I don't know, to your point, like all these characters are in it. What happened to, what's her name? Rambo?
Yes. Monica.
Yeah,
Monica
she
Rambo,
wasn't even part of the ending. She had these superpowers all of a sudden. And
did you see the mid-credit scene?
So I have to go back because I didn't realize there was a mid-credit and there was a
post-credit scene. So I think those two the mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene actually answers your two.
So there was a mid-credit. Remind me what the mid-credit, because I remember the mid-credit one, because that's when I shut it off because I thought that was it. I didn't realize.
That was with the Skrull character. She shape-shifted. Was talking to her. No, you didn't see that one. You missed that part.
Oh, how did I miss that?
Did you Did you watch the one when she was in the middle of the woods in a cabin?
No, that one I didn't see. So I did see the shape-shifting one. I'm trying to remember it.
Yeah, when she brought her to the theater, right, and she said something like,
"Oh yes, that's right.
Somebody wants to see you," and the person that she was referencing was Nick Fury.
Yeah. Okay. Skrull. That's right. Because they're from that. They're from Captain Marvel, so that ties into Captain Marvel and all that stuff. So, but I didn't realize I have to go to the end credit. I didn't realize.
Wait a second. It's not called Captain Marvel.
No,
it's Captain Marvel,
right? Isn't that?
I think it was. So I don't want to get into a comic book history thing here. It was Captain Marvel when it first came out in the comics, and then that kind of changed over time to Captain Marvel. So I guess you're both right.
My mind is blown.
But I hear it referenced a lot as Captain Marvel. Like that's.
So if you remember at the end of Captain Marvel, she was talking to Nick Fury, and she said something like Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And Nick Fury said, "No, I like Captain Marvel better." So it was kind of like a callback to like the comic books and how they changed the name. And yeah. So I guess you're both right. You're both.
Going back to WandaVision real quick though. I was from the stuff that I've read, is there not a season 2? Is this this is just a one limited series?
Yeah, I don't think they said anything about a second season for it, but they kind of said this Doctor Strange sequel is kind of the second season in a way. That's what they're talking about.
Okay, so I didn't realize these were just limited series. Like they're just doing these series, and that's kind of like a one and done. I thought this was going to be a continuation of her story.
It's going to be hard for them to do that. And there's so many series that they're going to be releasing another one next week here, and then once that's done, it's going to be one after another. It's going to be tough to come up with. I mean, unless I guess if it's a very successful season, and they have more story to tell, then maybe they will. But they have so many characters, so many things that they could talk about. They don't need to go with sequels because they can throw a character and put them in a movie, and like the Iron Man movies, right? Iron Man ended with Iron Man 3, but he was still coming back for all the Avengers movies. You can put these characters in and swap them in.
No, I get that. I just didn't.
So it's not.
I thought it was going to be more like what we watched when Marvel was on Netflix. Once Daredevil ended, you could expect it next season to roll back in, and you got to go watch that. Luke Cage. So again, I didn't realize it was just now. I just felt even more like I'm hanging. Like, all right, I followed this thing for 9 weeks, and I just feel not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with it.
Yeah,
It was action.
Isn't it different with the Marvel movies because they're all connected, right? It's just one long storytelling, right? Story. It's like basically just you could go into the next movie, you could go into the next show, and it all kind of
but
connects with each other. So
I know what you're saying, but
it's just never ending. It's not like a movie comes out and then it's done, and then you don't get any of your questions answered.
Yeah, no, I know. I guess you just have to be patient because I mean that White Vision seemed like kind of like a useless character. He came in, he fought the real Vision, and then he mind melted with them, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. He's like, okay, I'm good. I'll see you later now. And I'm like, that's it. That was all it took for him to.
Do you think he will pop up in the next like Black Panther movie? Like he goes back to Wakanda because that's like now he has his memories back.
He's getting reprogrammed.
That was his last memory. Yeah, remember who was it? The character there that was trying to get his. I don't know what the hell she was trying to do with him, but she was working on before he ended up dying in the Infinity War movie. So maybe he goes back to her to try to fix him.
Well, the only theory is she was very specific to say, Wanda said that she had a piece of the Mind Stone in her. Like, remember how she made that point that that's how she was able to create the chaos magic because she had a piece of the Mind Stone in her. Somehow, like it transferred its power into her. So could she, in theory, go back to the White Vision and infuse him back with the Mind Stone? Sure. And you re-trigger it. I don't know. You know what? We had all these theories. I feel so disappointed. Like nothing panned out. So I don't even want to speculate anymore.
But that's why I think because the show ended and it didn't answer a lot of things. That's still okay because it's Marvel and they could always answer them in another movie.
Oh, you're such a Marvel puppet.
What are your thoughts, Jarvis? I want to hear what Jarvis has to. What does he think about the WandaVision season?
The White Vision. I mean, what kind of race? This is going to be just one giant.
Just say no comment, Jarvis.
Human resources nightmare. By the time somebody gets on.
Hey, we have to throw out the nerd segment of the.
We do.
Podcast.
Well,
the nerd
listen.
Out there.
Wait a second. That's not fair because when you and I nerd out over WWF. In or like war history, Azar's over here chiming and bashing on. Oh, we gotta listen to Trent Williams again. Oh, we gotta listen to Andre the Giant, Macho Man. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? Just because you don't have any of that in Saudi Arabia, wherever you were from, in the 70s, Young Rock. I don't want to hear it.
Just because of the Young Rock stuff, you're just bitter about that.
Hey, I'm not pushing the Young Rock. The first episode was good.
I'm glad you stopped.
Let's not talk about Young Rock again. I can't. And I didn't even watch last night. Was the episode on last night? I didn't even watch it.
You know what? I got caught up on watching Oak Island and I forgot.
Yeah, there you go. There's the
That's
loyalty.
how memorable Young Rock is.
I'm gonna watch it tonight, but we weren't talking about it tonight, so I threw me off.
All right. Well, let's go into Jarvis is more about comedy, so let's go back down his aisle. Let's go bring back something that maybe he can relate better to. He's not into the science fiction. No, yeah. We'll recap the Pest.
Let's talk about the Pest.
You haven't even watched it.
It's not as good as the Pest, but it's it's not as a classic like the Pest. But we talked about Coming to America, right, last week, and now we said Coming to America 2 was hitting the Amazon Prime, and it came out. and I had a chance. I actually binge watched. I watched Coming to America 1, and I rolled it right into Coming to America 2, which made it more fun because it was nice to kind of see that transition. And that way some of the storyline was still fresh from the first one. And I've seen a lot of different reviews online. So we'll go around the group, but I'll let you guys share your thoughts. I was desperate to see who liked it, who didn't like it. But Big Meat, what's your review?
It was okay. I didn't like it as much as the first one. Now, I did the same thing you did. I watched the first one before I watched the second one, which actually helped because I don't know if I didn't do that, there was a lot of callbacks and a lot of references to the first one that I might have forgot. And it ended up being funnier because I watched the first one before I watched the second one. Those parts that referenced the first one were probably the best parts in the entire movie. I didn't like some of the characters in it. I thought, I wanted to see more Eddie Murphy. I wanted to see more Arsenio Hall. Like I wanted those characters to come back and really shine. And not they focused too much on Eddie Murphy's son there. It's kind of boring. Like I didn't like that part of the movie. Now keep in mind, the first one was rated R. So they could be crude and they could just say whatever the hell they want. This one was PG-13. So they did have to take a step back in that type of humor.
Which is a shame.
It made it worse. Yeah, I wish they just stuck with the rated R rating. But overall, it was funny. It was good, but I wasn't wowed by. If I were to pick one or the other, the first one was definitely better. Now, I do understand, right? Somebody like Jarvis, it was you that mentioned the humor was a little bit more faster paced. But a lot of the 80s comedies, no 80s comedy was ever really fast paced. I thought it was just a better overall movie.
The story
if I
was
were to
better.
compare the two. The story was better.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
The story of the first one was definitely better. And so what happened was I started watching the first one and I was watching it with my wife and she fell asleep. The song at the beginning of the first one was so long. It's like it's excessively long and drawn out of just like flying over the mountains or the forest in Africa there. And she's like, is anything going to happen? And I'm like, yeah, it's just the credits. I was like, oh my God.
Where I think they learned their lesson on that when they made the second one, because the second one they did the same thing.
Yeah,
but
they
was
cut it
like 5 seconds. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And so I built up the movie to her. I was like, it's funny, it's classic 80s, like it's pop culture. You have to at least have seen it. And I couldn't get her through the credits. So I ended up staying up and watching it. But I started because of that, like, oh my God, I can't believe how slow and drawn out. And because of that, like the whole movie kind of was drawn out for me because I was watching it just to get through it at that point. And she wasn't into it. And so it was just, I don't know, it kind of took a little bit of the flavor off of it. But then when I watched the second one, I just laughed because, and what you said was right. I laughed at everything that was a reference back to the first one because it just was funny how they incorporated it. They didn't do anything that was like, they really tried to subtly weave something in. And even when they threw it in your face, it wasn't just like dropped in there for a reference, like the opposite of what anything the new Star Wars did. They just took every reference and smashed it in your face without making sense. This one actually did a really nice job of, even if it was like the whole movie was ridiculous, right? But like they did a good job making it have a point in the story. And I laughed, like from Dikembe Mutombo all the way, like everything just made me laugh. And
like when they brought back the hopping lady or hopping on one
she
leg,
was in
and
the
she
same
was barking.
outfit. Yeah. And the band, when the band at the very end, Ricky Waters or whatever his name was, I was tired.
Sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.
That was the best part of the movie when they brought that out. Like I was like,
oh my God,
that was like icing on the cake.
I thought Wesley Snipes, I was funny to see Wesley Snipes, but I thought like his general character, like they could have gone off this whole other thing where they had to have like a battle and the daughter ended up winning. I was expecting this thing to manifest and it be like African war, but like it was like, man,
it was kind of like a letdown. Yeah.
I
mean, and the fact that it wasn't rated R, I know it wasn't a Disney production, but I felt like they Disneyed it up a little bit.
Definitely
like
had
the
Disney,
three daughters, and it was just like,
definitely had a Disney feel to it.
I don't know why Amazon did that either, because it's an Amazon product. It's not like they're like a big kids platform. So I was kind of
Right.
surprised.
But I got to say, overall, I had more fun watching the second one because I appreciated the first one. So, take that for what it is. You got to watch the first one in order to appreciate the second one. And you got to, it's almost like you have to have the nostalgia of watching the first one back like 35 years. Like if you watched it a while ago, you'll appreciate the second one and all and the artistry and how it incorporated the references. That's what was good about it. It did a really nice job of that.
Even the little subtle things, right? Like even the beginning of the first one when it was his birthday and they woke him up and he was like, "It is my birthday today." And in the second one, it was like, "It is my anniversary." It was just like just those little subtle things that they repeated.
Yeah.
They bring back the elephant that passed them the first time, and now it's a full-grown elephant with tusks walking by.
Yeah,
they just did a lot of good of bringing back the first one, just to kind of little touch points. Like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's good. That was good. That nice callback. I thought it was good. I'm with Meat. I didn't like the story with the son, I liked Tracy Morgan. I like Leslie Jones. I thought Leslie Jones did a good job. Like the
mother-in-law.
The mother-in-law. She did such a good job. And I never really found her she's one of the fewer funny people from Saturday Night Live. But I thought she did a really good job as a role. But Big Meat's right. The son was just didn't fit the story.
I felt like I was watching Black Shia LaBeouf in Indiana Jones.
He didn't fit. The love story was kind of lame. Like I thought, like at one point, maybe the sister and the stepbrother were gonna have some weird connection.
What I actually thought was the ending. They were gonna do some like DNA test or whatever and find out that he wasn't his son. It was Semi's son. Arsenio Hall's characters. I thought there was gonna be this big twist at the end. Or it was building up that he was gonna end up being the villain somehow, and it got sappy. It got sappy
and it just made no sense. And I liked when John Amos gave him that pep talk, Eddie Murphy the pep talk in the restaurant and all that. I mean, they could have gone look at the McDowell thing. All right, that was played out in the first one. Why it's in the middle of Africa? I was like, all right, guys, you could have let that go. Like he's married, his daughter married a king. You think he's still running a freaking fast food joint with Louis Anderson from Africa?
That, though.
Come on.
I like that part. No, I liked it because it's kind of that humorous, like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, it was silly, humor. But it was fun. I laughed. The only thing I would have done, and I'm shocked with all the star power they had, bringing in Morgan Freeman, all these great actors that I like. Why not get Kevin Hart to play the son, Eddie Murphy's son? Someone that is better suited for comedy. He would have taken that movie to another level. And I bet he would have loved to star with all of those actors, like those legends, between Morgan Freeman and James Earl Jones. And you're telling me if they approached Kevin Hart and said, look, we want you to come in, you're going to play this crazy, you're going to be my son. Eddie Murphy and him, being this little Danny DeVito to him, would have been hysterical. Instead, you got I don't know. I just couldn't buy that he's his son. It wasn't funny.
There had to have been some backroom deal that this kid was going to try to get put over by Eddie Murphy. Either Eddie Murphy pushed for it, or it was the deal. We'll do Coming to America 2 and pay you what you want, but you have to do this and make it this kid. It had to have been a deal.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of other black comedians that could have fit his role, but I thought they could have been a better kid. I just didn't find him as.
I was kind of thinking the guy that played Creed, but
I
know he's not he's not a comedian, but he seems like he would have kind of fit that role there. You know who the guy I was worried about the most before watching this?
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall, yes, because he's a guy that hasn't really done anything in so long. He tried to revive the Arsenio Hall show, and that failed. I remember him winning Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump years back, 7-8 years ago. So when you're on a reality game show like that, you're a struggling actor. You're trying to make a name for yourself again. And I thought him coming back, he was going to overact. He was going to try to be somebody he wasn't. And he was the same character he was from the first one. He didn't overdo it. I thought he was great. I was waiting for him to be like, oh, that was kind of cringy to watch him do that. But I didn't see that at all from him. I thought he played the same character he was from the first one. He did great.
I agree. And it was funny. I loved when Eddie Murphy started choking him and James Earl Jones is yelling, "Kill him! Kill him!" Like I was dying. I was like, "That is, you know what? There's so like that whole movie. The only one that could screw up that movie is Nicolas Cage if he came in it, because there's so much star power." You know what? I'm gonna pull that back. Even him, you could have put Keanu Reeves, Nicolas Cage, and Marky. What the hell is his name? Mark Wahlberg. You could have put those three idiots in that movie, and they still couldn't have screwed it up because there's so much star power to make. It was
written really well. It was written, and the delivery was really well. Like you said, those little subtle lines. Like every character had their lines written to them really, really well, and they stayed in their lane, and that's what made it work.
And this time, I did get the Trading Places reference early on in the movie. I did get it when he looked up at the picture. Yeah, and it was like my grandfather. It was like, yeah.
There you go.
Tuesday. Like, I got that reference. I got it.
That was a great throwback that they throw that back in. That happened to be their grandson or something.
And see, like that was a really subtle way to throw in the reference to those two guys in the first one, and then via the Trading Places reference. Like they didn't force it. They didn't make them two old guys on the side of the road. It was like the kid, and then when he ripped him apart for being like a drug addict and getting bailed out of jail, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. And I was like, this is hysterical. This is just absolutely hysterical. And then the two guys up in the painting, I was like, this is perfect. I didn't see it coming. Once that happened, I knew the movie was going to be like reference and just like subtle cameo central. And I was in that's what got me.
Yeah, it was good. It was well done. And even Wesley Snipes, you talked about him as the general, and he just did a good job being that silly. I thought he did a good job. Like it's nice to see Wesley Snipes. I used to love him in action movies, so it was good to see him.
It was good to see him. He looked more like the Wesley Snipes from Major League than he did from any of those other action movies.
Oh, I was gonna say he looked like Wesley Snipes from that Sylvester Stallone movie, Demolition Man. No, Demolition Man. He had like the orangish hair, and he was like really goofy and silly.
But he was good, and I mean, I was like, oh my God, this guy's got like he's telling the little kids to go play with their Kalashnikovs and the hand grenades and stuff. I was like, there's no way they're not going to war. I was like, there's got to be some sort of tribal war here happening, and I thought that's where it was going to go, not some rap battle and everybody just kiss and make up out of nowhere. And the daughter takes a bow staff, whoops him and his bodyguards, and that's it. The war's over. I was like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah. You know another thing I thought was a little strange, because the title of the movie is Coming to America, but he went to America. It was like a 10-minute scene, whatever. Then he went back to the
moon. He went to America twice.
And then he went back to America. And it was like, it wasn't really like he was coming to America for anything. It just, I don't know. It just didn't really make sense based on the title of the show. But anyway, the movie. Anyway.
Well, listen, anything's better than WandaVision.
Yeah. I wish the only thing I wish they did do is, I forget his name, but if they brought back the gentleman from Black Panther, like did somehow to digitally get him in it. Yeah. I forget his name. I'm drawing
Chadwick Boseman?
Yes. If they somehow found a way to introduce him, we
CGI him into the movie.
Just something like just to honor him from Wakanda, like because I think that would have been like just tie it.
Well, all they would have had to do is be like, "So you have a telegraph from Wakanda," like something crazy like that.
Yeah, just something that kind of like, they could have just had someone impersonate his voice and just put his face on like you said on the phone on a screen, like Yeah, we're having trouble with our neighbor.
I was sad that there was no Samuel L. Jackson. That was the
That's another one.
I was waiting for him to come up. Yeah, I thought he was gonna show up and try to rob the one of the the barber shop or something.
Rob I wanted him to rob the McDowells in Zamunda. Give me something.
What about the Soul Glow guy, Daryl? Like they didn't even bring him back. I was surprised.
Yeah, well, he was the antagonist of the first one, and I don't know. Yeah, they could have brought him back somehow, but Soul Glow's not even a thing anymore.
That would have just been funny, just to have him back there,
and he's homeless. Curl.
Yeah,
it's just that would have been good. And then what was it? Her sister too. She wasn't in it.
No, that's another thing too. No. And they were hooking up. It would have been funny if they were actually married.
Yeah, her and Arsenio.
Yeah,
gotta save it for Coming to America 3.
Oh,
Coming 3 America.
No, I don't think so. I think we've seen the last of Coming to America, unfortunately. But that was good. It was a fun movie. All right, guys, let's go dive into the football, our last segment that we go into. At first Big Meat and I were like, boy, if we do a weekly podcast, are we going to be able to talk about football every week? But I got to say, football, the NFL is a gift that keeps on giving. Like every week there's something interesting, and it's relevant to the Patriots, but it's also relevant to fantasy. And actually, usually after the NFL or the fantasy season ends, I kind of check out and watch everything from a distance. But now that because of the podcast, I didn't realize how much action there is throughout the off season to get like excited about the upcoming season. So this has been great,
baby, hot stove.
Yeah. So I've been loving it. So some of the big news is people are getting their franchise tags placed on them, and some of the bigger ones is that we saw Tampa Bay coming on strong. They franchise tagged Godwin, and they re-signed the linebacker that Jarvis was hoping would come to the Patriots. So what do you guys think of Tampa for 2021 from an NFL? Can they repeat? They're keeping the team. The band's still together. Can they repeat?
I mean, coming from a season ticket holder, I couldn't ask for a better situation. This is just the value of my tickets is going up, 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 up.
No. I was, yeah.
Bitcoin, watch out. Here comes an investor for you.
I was saying I didn't think Chris Godwin was going to come back. I thought he was going to go for the big bucks, but they franchised him, and he genuinely wanted to be back with the Buccaneers. So to franchise him, bring back Levante David. They still have Shaquille Barrett. That's one of the top free agents out there. If they could try somehow to bring him back, yeah. I mean, they're trying to bring everybody back to that team. And if they could do that, then yeah, they could have a realistic chance of repeating.
Now, Ndamukong Suh is a free agent, and I know he said he'd be willing to stay. I think he's willing to be a reasonable price to stay with them. So that's another big free agent that I haven't heard any news.
Yeah, he's not. When you look at the top free agents available, he doesn't pop up at the top of the list of anybody's list. I wonder why. Like, I thought he was a pretty good guy. He was a good defensive end for the team last year. I'm surprised he's not closer to the top of the free agent list.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know why he's not.
He doesn't command a lot of money. I mean, he wasn't signed for big money for them, so he might be just another 1-year deal. But anyways, he's another one, but I don't think that's it's pressing, but it's not going to break the bank to keep him like some of the other players. So it's interesting. But can they repeat? Do they have? Is it possible that Tampa Bay is going to be the next gen? Like, not that they have enough time to be the Patriots, but I mean, there's rumors that Brady's pushing for OBJ. Really? To bring OBJ down to Tampa. Can you imagine that? Like him revitalizing OBJ? Could he do it?
If they do, then there's no chance Antonio Brown also comes back. So it's kind of like swapping Brown for OBJ. I think
OBJ is younger though, isn't he?
Oh, he's a lot younger. Yeah, but I'm just thinking, just in terms of the offensive weapons, I didn't think they were going to have enough under the cap with all their free agents to bring back a lot of their offensive guys. I thought they were going to bring back all their defensive guys and just say, hey, let's continue to have a strong defense and rely on the offensive guys that we have now, like Mike Evans and a few others. But now that Godwin's back, and I don't know what's going to happen with Gronk, if he's likely going to come back. I'm assuming he is. So I think they're going to be solid all throughout, both offensively and defensively. Whether Brown, leaves for free agency, if they don't bring back Shaq Barrett, I still think they're in good shape. And hey, if they do bring in OBJ, that's another weapon for Tom Brady.
I agree. And right now, based on the signings so far, Tampa Bay is the team to beat in the NFC. I haven't seen anything from Green Bay to make me feel like, oh, they've made some huge improvements. New Orleans is still in flux because of Drew Brees and what's going to happen, who's replacing Drew Brees. The NFC West, I mean, LA, the Rams themselves. But again, I don't think the Rams are going to beat Tampa Bay next year. I don't see it. So right now, I'm thinking Tampa's the team to beat. Maybe Arizona. I think they'll be in the hunt for it, but based on the move so far, I'm liking the Rams. I mean, I'm liking Tampa Bay. I might have to jump on the Tampa. I have to go. I don't care what me predicts. I might have to just embrace my Tampa Bay roots and just say, I don't care if Meat's going to support him and claim that he was always been right about it. I'm going to have to just dive in.
Are you sure? Even with Tom Brady?
I can't do it again. I can't.
You sure
I can't go again. It hurt me. Jarvis doesn't. Jarvis.
But it's Tom Brady, Azar.
I know.
You don't like Tom Brady.
Right. I hate to see him right. But you know what? Because now COVID is winding down. Hopefully, I want to go to Tampa Bay Stadium and cheer them on, and just being. I don't want to be the antagonist against. I don't care. Go nuts, Brady. I can watch you now. I want to see it. So. All right.
So listen to this on the final note before you change. So you talk about the Buccaneers, the favorite for next year in the NFC. Listen to this. The Falcons, the Bills, the Panthers, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Giants, the Rams, the Patriots, the Jets, the Eagles, the Washington football team. Of those teams I just read, maybe the Bills and the streaky Dolphins and the Cowboys. You gotta remember, Dak Prescott has a half a leg still. He signed a whopping deal on a half a leg. He's got.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to talk about. Was the Dak Prescott sign?
So I'll use that to segue. But what a hot garbage of a schedule the Buccaneers have opponent wise. They are going to waltz into potentially an undefeated season, just because the other teams are so bad. I
think the Bills will give them a run for their money.
The Bills will give them their run for the money.
Yeah,
but it's the Bills.
Yeah,
it's the freaking Bills.
I would say, barring a major injury to Tampa, they're the team to beat. I just think
the schedule is so favors them so much. They don't have to. If I asked you to name the 5 best teams in the NFC, aside from the Buccaneers, they wouldn't be on this list. Cardinals, Packers, Seahawks, right? Who else do we got? The
Saints, maybe.
Well, the Saints are on the list twice, but Drew Brees is retiring. So, 49ers are always pretty good. They're not on the list.
Yeah.
Vikings are, whatever. They're in the middle, but they're not on the list.
Eagles?
Well, they play in the East, right? So they got but the Eagles are garbage. Who knows what Jalen Hurts is going to pan out?
Right, I'm just trying to think. They usually are competitive, or they not always, but yeah. I'm trying to think. There's not a lot.
The best teams that and they're playing the Rams, who now might suck. So so the Rams could be something of a tough game at home because they're playing at LA. But again, with all the changes, who really knows? And I don't know.
Who's going to stop Robert Woods?
Exactly.
So having said that,
I don't want to hear about Cooper Kupp again. I don't want to hear about how Cooper Kupp is the man and he's better.
If you're going to be a Buccaneers fan, you got to let go of Robert Woods.
Yeah.
To come back to the light.
Speaking of Woods, not Woods himself, but the players from the Rams. It's so good when it's just a personal thing. And it's a little tangent. When you're driving in the car and talk radio brings up conversations that we've been having, and they mention names that we do. So I'm driving, and then all of a sudden they're like, who would be a good tight end? I don't know. They bring in one of these NFL people on one of the shows, and they're like, who would be a good fit for the Patriots? Gerald Everett. And I was like, we were just saying that on the podcast. So I don't feel like we are that far from reality.
We're not. I actually read an article today about Jonnu Smith being a good fit for the Patriots.
There you go. See?
It was him and Hunter Henry. They were talking one of those two. If you want to go higher price, go Hunter Henry. If you don't, go Jonnu Smith. Those two would be good fits for the Patriots. And I said, that's what we talked about.
We're ahead of the curve. I don't care what anybody says. Listen to this podcast. Shut off talk radio. You don't need it. We're giving you the shit right now. That's it. Just shut it down. You don't need to be a Felger and angry all the time and just combative because you like to be combative. We're giving you
one of these years. We're going to win the
Marconi.
The Marconi. It's not Marconi. It's called something else for podcasts. I forget. We've talked about this before. Whatever it is.
You submit that steak and cheese episode, and we're a shoe-in.
We're the shit. We're the shit here. I'm telling you. All right.
We're dope as shit.
We're dope as shit. All right.
We're like what Cam Newton would say describing our podcast. We're dope as shit.
All right.
Oh God.
So I was
associated with Newton.
I was going to bring up Dak Prescott, but Jarvis touched on it pretty much. He's big contract. There's a big signing, shocking signing. He's limping around with one leg. I still think there's a lot of unknown, like how he's going to respond to the injury in the fall. Like we'll see in August. Hopefully, when preseason, we'll get a good sense of how he looks. If he'll be ready by then.
It's an awful signing, I think.
For that kind of money,
it's like that kind of money for a guy with a half a leg. Jerry Jones came out today and said, "I don't care if I overpaid for Dak Prescott." That's an owner telling me he doesn't really care about winning anymore. They're the highest valued franchise in sports today. He wants to continue making his money. He knows Dak Prescott, helps sell tickets. He's got Ezekiel Elliott there. They're not going to win. They're not going to win with Dak Prescott there in the next 4 years. Maybe after his contract is up and they move on, whatever. It's just not going to happen. They're paying him way too much money now. They're not going to be able to build the team around him. You're pretty much done. He's not going to come back next year and be healthy all throughout the season. He's going to struggle. So you're basically paying him for 3 years. Yeah. You're throwing away all that money for next year. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think it's a loyalty kind of thing that he wanted to take care of his guy, Dak Prescott. I think it was a bonehead.
He didn't want to look like a villain. I think if he didn't do anything for him, he'd look like a villain. Like, how dare you? This is what we've been complaining about the NFL. Like, there's no guaranteed contracts. We get injured, and you let this guy. Why didn't you sign him earlier? Now he's screwed. All this kind of stuff. And I think this is kind of one of those bones to the NFL union. Like, no, we take care of people even if you're injured. You don't need to put that in the collective bargaining agreement next time. Like, don't worry about it, because he's one of those big wigs that negotiates these stupid contracts. So he probably saw this, like, I'm going to be the villain, and this will be the poster boy of a player getting screwed because we didn't extend him. He gets injured, and I threw him to the side. Like, so that's just my conspiracy theory. But I think Jerry Jones is an idiot. You got to do what's great for your franchise. I don't understand what you're doing for your fans. You got Ezekiel Elliott, who's still a young running back. Like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you wait to see how he responds and then say, look, we'll franchise tag you. Just come back. But I don't know.
Yeah, they should have franchise tagged him this year, and just that way it would have given him another year of guaranteed money. I mean, it's $160 million over 4 years versus what the franchise tag was like $25 million anyway. So
it's pennies compared to what he spent.
So I mean, he could have given him the franchise tag. He would have made more money. He would have saved more money, but maybe he would have spent more money this one season. But over the life of the contract, like you said, you don't know if he's going to walk again. And I think a lot of the race stuff coming out about Jerry Jones, like those inappropriate, cell phone cam videos and recordings of him. I just think this was one giant PR stunt to give him, like you said, back to the fans, make everybody happy, and then. Dak Prescott's not he's a black quarterback. They're trying to keep the African-American prominence in the league. And I think, not to end up getting shattered, protested by the Colin Kaepernickers. You just give Dak his money because everybody knew he should have got paid last year. And there was that whole thing, kind of like the let Russ eat thing. And now Wilson's disgruntled. And it's like, it seemed to be more just a PR stunt, just to put everybody happy, make everybody happy. And like you said, I don't think he's
the only upside. Secondary. Yeah, the only upside to this is that it's just 4 years. Yeah. It's not like a 10-year deal like Mahomes got. In 4 years, if it doesn't work out, you can get out. 4 years is still 4 years. Prescott in 4 years, he's 27 now. I think he's going to be 31 when the contract is up. So he could still sign another big contract then for another 7-8 years or whatever, how long he wants to play for. So that's the only upside that I see with this contract, that it's just 4 years and you're not strapped with. I mean, I know it's not all, and none of it is guaranteed, but still, he did get a lot of guaranteed money through this deal. So it's just, yeah. Again, I just don't understand the reasoning behind it, other than a PR move, trying to help sell tickets, trying to protect themselves because it's Dak Prescott. It's a loyalty thing and nothing to do with, hey, let's build a championship team. Great. I just don't see that.
All right. So moving on, I mean, just there was a couple more other big signings that we talked about. Not a lot of news. It makes sense. CMC re-signed with Carolina. Like they signed him back up, restructured. So no shocker there. They need him there. But until they figure out the quarterback situation, we'll discuss, where he ranks in the top 5 for next season. We'll hold off on that for now because there's still a lot of stuff that needs to develop around him. This is the hot mess that I don't get. And I'm going to say it right now, do not draft right now. If you draft anybody on your team from the Detroit Lions, you are the biggest idiot in fantasy football. I'm just going to say that right now. Right now, Detroit Lions are off limits. No one should roster a single player from the Detroit Lions. There's nothing. Swift, just forget about them, guys. Go to sleep, erase their names, take them out. They just traded Galladay, or Galladay was not re-signed. They let him go. And they don't know what they're doing with Goff, so they don't even know what they're going to do with their quarterback situation. It is hot garbage. And even if Goff stays, who the hell are they throwing to? Jones? Is he the number 1 now?
He's a free agent too, isn't he?
I think so.
I thought so too. So I didn't hear his name get re-signed. But if they give him the money and not Galladay, are they high? I mean, that team feels like it is in total, let's blow it up. Or it's like the Cleveland Indians that I think Meat was referencing from Major League, the movie, or was that Jarvis that referenced that? They're blowing up the team and they're moving out of Detroit. They're getting the hell out of Detroit. Like, they're getting that bad. Like, you're just going to blow everything up, tear the stadium down, and leave. Like,
the sad part is it's like a brand new stadium, isn't it? Like,
it is. Can you imagine being a fan? Like, what are you doing? What a
so Azar, the problem is when you say they're blowing it up and rebuilding, usually when you blow it up, you trade everything, you acquire assets for what, you liquidate what you have. They didn't liquidate. They lit it on fire. They poof. There it is. Everything valuable we had, just a nice big puff of smoke. Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, they didn't really get anything. You're right.
What's Kenny Galladay? Top 10 receiver in football. You could put him in the top 10 talent wise. What did you get? You're going to get a compensatory, the 97th overall pick. You're going to get for him.
If you're not going to sign him, why did they trade him?
Franchise tag him and trade him.
Yeah, it just makes no sense to me what that team is doing. And I'm being clear. If I see anybody draft a Detroit Lion, I'm going to throw my shoe at you in the middle of the draft.
You got to do the Mr. Roper belly laugh.
Oh, it's not even a Mr. Roper. It is. That is just joyous. Like, you're an idiot. Like, I can't believe you drafted him. You're going to get burned. Like, drafting a Detroit Lion means you have no clue what you're doing. You should be shunned from fantasy leagues at this point. Like, you might as well pay for someone else to draft for you, which someone in our league does do. So, like,
he's guaranteed a line.
Yeah.
Or hire R3 to draft for you, and he'll draft you 3 Lions and say you can just drop them and pick up a Bengal.
You know what? I'm not even gonna. Even the assistant drafter for the Raccoon would not be that stupid. I hope. I'm just disgusted by it. Like,
so we got to make a note of this because somebody's gonna draft a Lion. It has to happen. I don't think it's ever happened where a whole team did not have one guy drafted.
Some of those Cleveland Brown teams went on. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
They drafted like a number 1 running back or something. So you drafted a Cleveland Brown with the hope, like, they got this, like, was it Trent Williams?
You mean Isaiah Crowell?
Trent Richardson.
Trent Richardson.
Awful.
Right?
Awful.
Remember, like, all the hype around him? Oh, they got Trent Richardson. You drafted him, and like, he sucked. So he's a Brown. So I'm telling you right now, I am going to record our draft. And if someone drafts a Lion, I'm going to have it on video of me throwing a shoe at their head, and I'm going to put it on Twitter.
I'm going to put a reminder in my calendar right now. I want to know. I want to see when that happens, when somebody does draft a Lion. If
it's at my house,
really throws a shoe at them.
If they're drafting at my house, I will drag them out of my yard, throw them in their car, and tell them to leave. They're done. We'll auto draft for you. Get the hell out of here! Like, you're an idiot. Like, just
now I'm really hoping that Azar forgets this conversation. He drafts a Lion.
What if you draft a Lion? I can't wait until
he throw a shoe at himself.
Robert Woods gets traded to the Lions.
That would hurt.
Or even better, CMC gets traded to the Lions.
Oh, no. That's just hateful. Don't say that. That's not.
I can't wait. Major moves coming. I'm all on the Lions bandwagon now.
I am willing to amend it if they draft and they make some blockbuster. Maybe they're freeing up all this salary and saying they're going to make some major moves.
Somebody will draft Swift. Somebody's going to draft him because he's,
until they make some moves. Like, it's just insane. Why would you take him?
Hey,
But
do they still have Peterson? All AP?
I think he's a free agent, isn't he?
I don't know. He would be so far down the list, like the websites end before they get to his number.
Yeah. It's him and Frank Gore, like side next to each other, like the two old guys.
When you buy a draft, when you get like a draft book or a draft kit, it like runs out of numbers. It's like the top 100, and you're like, oh, these guys are at like 115. I never even knew.
It's like when after the draft, you look at the free agent list, like,
and you're like,
Peterson's still out there.
Yeah, there's a starting running back right there.
Someone's gonna go down that list of running backs. They're gonna see Swift. They're gonna rank him like number 16 all time. And someone's like, oh, that's my running back right there because he's the next in the line.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna take him. What? No,
it's gonna be Raccoon. It's got. Well, I don't know. Is he gonna draft this year? Or who knows?
I don't know.
It's either Raccoon or I don't know. Somebody's gonna take Swift. They're gonna look at that list, Azar. I agree, and they're gonna see him. They're gonna be like, "Oh, he's on this list. He's like 12th ranked running back."
They've got Goff. They've got Marvin Jones as the number one.
Yeah, they're gonna be a run first team now. They're gonna give him the ball every down. Like they have nobody to throw to.
It's all about touches.
It's like Jared Cook's gonna end up there, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, they got Jared Cook now." And
the real question is, who goes first? Swift or Joe Mixon? Who gets drafted first?
That human cancer of a fantasy.
Joe Mixon did come out today, I think, and he said he feels really fresh, he's really strong, really good. He's looking to make a big comeback next season.
I would rather bring Eddie George out of retirement with his freaking turf toe and make him run than take Joe.
Wait a minute. So we kind of delved into fantasy here, but I did have another general football comment to make because last week I talked about Trent Williams. Now with all these free agent signings and guys re-signing again, if you look at a lot of top free agent lists, Trent Williams is at the top of that list right now of available free agents. Him and Galladay, those two guys, like depending on the list you look at. So I did say last week that the Patriots, probably their wish list would be to get Trent Williams. I was hoping the Pats would get him, but it was the other Trent. It was Trent Brown that they ended up trading for.
He's so proud. I got the name right.
I got the first name right. Trent Williams versus Trent Brown. But that was the guy that they got, and they were happy to bring him back to the Patriots. He was a strong offensive lineman. So now I don't think they're going to go out and get Trent Williams now. They're not going to go out and get another lineman. But I did forget about their 6th-round pick last year, who had a really good season, Michael Onwenu, who really had a good rookie year for them. So if you're looking at their offensive line now, based on how it stands, because I don't think Tooney's coming back. Jarvis, you mentioned that last week. I don't think they're going to re-sign Tooney. I think he's going to ask for a lot of money. I do think Andrews is going to come back because I think they need a center, and they've always had a good center. And he's a guy that I think he's going to be willing to take a little bit of a pay cut, I guess, to come back and play for the Patriots. So if he does come back, you're looking at an offensive line of Trent Brown, that Michael Onwenu guy, David Andrews, Isaiah Wynn, who was their 1st-round pick a few years ago. He's been kind of often, injured, but he was their left tackle last year, and had a decent year before he got injured. And Shaq Mason. Those 5 guys alone.
How about Marcus Cannon? He's still under contract.
So he's the guy that so Jarvis, I think you were right last week. I think they're going to cut him. They're going to save $6 million off the cap. He was the only, because if they did bring him back, I'd say, oh, that'd be great to have Marcus Cannon there as well. But I do think they're gonna cut him and save $6 million. So based off of that, I think those are the 5 guys. I don't think they have a lot of depth at that position. It's still a bit weak, especially if they let Cannon go, if they don't re-sign Tooney. But they could pick up another old lineman in free agency or in the draft. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But if you stick with those 5 guys, those 5 starting guys, that's not a bad starting offensive line.
Yeah, that's similar to the Super Bowl winning line that they put out there, except instead of Onwenu for the second-year kid, they had Tooney as the guard.
Yeah, so Onwenu was a right tackle last year, and Trent Brown, he was a right tackle last year for the Raiders. So the chances are they're gonna move Onwenu.
No, our Super Bowl when we beat the Rams, it was Trent Brown, Tooney, Andrews, on the left side, yeah, Isaiah Wynn, Shaq Mason, Marcus Cannon. Yeah. Like that was the Super Bowl line from 2 years ago. So we essentially just brought it back, swap out Tooney for Isaiah Wynn and the other kid out of Michigan there. They took the rookie Onwenu, and then I'm hearing that, on the radio, they're talking about Isaiah Wynn potentially being trade bait to get somebody else in here now that you brought in Trent Brown.
Oh, interesting. Well, the offensive line
Because
is going to be solid. I mean,
Trent Williams, your guy in San Francisco, is a free agent, and if they don't bring him back, it actually helps the Patriots offer for Garoppolo, because now they can offer Isaiah Wynn, who's an established offensive lineman and can play left tackle, and it fills a hole. And then you offer a 3rd or 4th round pick and Isaiah Wynn, or a 4th round pick and Isaiah Wynn, and maybe you land yourself Garoppolo.
Which is a good segue, because everything on sports radio now, all the experts are coming in and saying the signing of Trent Brown changes the dynamic of that offense. They're moving away. Even Scott Zolak on 98.5 was saying, they were referencing some of that. And you're changing the dynamic of the offense, because Trent Brown he's not built for a running quarterback. He's more built for a strong run game and a pocket passing quarterback. So maybe the philosophy of the Pats is changing from the experiment of last year. So maybe Garoppolo is back in play. Maybe they are looking for a traditional pocket passer. I don't know if, is Trubisky the next guy after Garoppolo that's considered more? Because Mariota runs. He's not strictly a pocket passer. I'm trying to think of who else is out there that fits that mold of pocket passing. There's Trubisky, there's Garoppolo, and
Mac
then we
Jones.
go Mac
Hey,
Jones.
don't say it, Mac Jones.
Yep.
Mac Jones.
So there's Big Meat's theory.
Mel Kiper recently came out with a little piece on that, saying that it's a perfect fit for the Patriots. Don't be surprised if he ends up taking him in the draft. Been saying this for weeks now. Mac Jones.
So we all know
if it's not Cam Newton, it's Mac Jones. That's
Big Meat scours every article with Jones is in it, and if it agrees with him, he is all in. Like, he will quote every single article reference to date that if there's any hint that this guy fits in the Patriots mold, he is coming to New England.
That's right.
He is obsessed. He is obsessed.
He
might actually leave his Brady obsession. It might be replaced. Like, we're gonna see the Jones jerseys out. We're gonna see the fat head.
I'm looking for excitement at the quarterback position. I don't want Mariota. I don't want any of these stiffs. These stiffs they're gonna bring, we'll be another Cam Newton. By the end of the season, we'll be 8-8, and we're like, that didn't work out. Like, at least with Mac Jones, if it doesn't work out, he's a rookie. It's like, all right, give him some time to develop. At least there's some excitement to look forward to. Unless he completely ends up just, it's just awful all season as a rookie.
Like Jared Stidham.
Stidham, I have a scary feeling it's going to be Stidham. We're going to be looking at Stidham as the starter next year. He's a pocket passer.
I doubt it. I think Cam Newton. I still think Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton is 75% chance, 25%.
Wow,
that's
he's putting percentages down now.
Yes.
I'm so afraid of that being true. I don't even want to partake in that discussion. When
is the absolute? Is it that before the draft that we would probably have a decision if they're going to stay with Cam Newton, or after the draft?
It would be after that. I mean, they'll drag this thing out into training camp. They didn't sign Cam Newton until after the draft last year. In like June. Yeah,
but we'll know if they drafted a rookie quarterback like Jones. Cam Newton, it's not going to be Cam.
So we'll know draft night if the Patriots have made a move with any of their draft picks, or if during the draft they make a move for Mac Jones or any other quarterback. But if they don't have a quarterback on their roster that they've either maneuvered for or signed or traded in the draft for, at the end of that draft weekend, if we don't know who it is, it's Cam Newton.
So what about the free agency? That officially kicks off soon, right?
Yeah.
Now
that all that, right?
Is it next week, Big Meat? Because now the free agency. Yeah, when does that start? Because now you're doing all the.
I thought anybody could sign. Even today, anybody could. There's no. There's even free agency now. Like, nobody can sign.
No, they announced things. So March 17th. So St. Patrick's Day. No deal.
That's what I thought.
No deal
it's just
in
existing.
The league is official.
Yeah, you can resign your own guys. Well, what about J.J. Watt? Wasn't he a free agent?
Yeah, but the deal's not official until the 17th. They just agreed to terms. It's kind of like we're announcing that we're doing that, but it's all just on a handshake. The paperwork hasn't gone through yet.
Yeah. So people start negotiating, but making it public and making it official still hasn't happened. So next week, that's milestone 1. So once free agency opens up, if all these quarterbacks get moved around and the Pats do nothing, then we have to wait for the draft. Will the Pats do anything? If they don't do anything at milestone 2, which is the draft, and then we're looking at a Cam Newton season. And then I think at that point, I may be joining Jarvis and just watching all my football games down in Tampa. I might just sell all my season tickets, save that money.
We got to save the Buccaneers game though.
Okay.
Don't get rid of that game. I want to go. We got to go see Tom Brady and Gillette.
Okay, but that's the only thing that would keep us to go to Gillette.
Sell the rest.
Get rid of the rest. Because if Cam Newton's the starting quarterback, I don't know if I can stomach another season.
Oh,
and have to pay for it and sit through it. It's got to hurt. Like,
see, I'd
rather pay for the flight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the thing is with the pay, they have a lot of money under the cap compared to a lot of other teams. I don't see them. They never really do. They never bring in a high price free agent. I don't think they're going to bring in Galladay. I don't think they're going to bring in any of these guys. I think they're going to bring in all middle of the road guys, fill in a whole bunch of positions, and hope a couple of those guys pan out and have career years. And if Cam Newton comes back with a slightly better surrounding cast, I've seen enough of Cam Newton last year that he's not accurate. He cannot throw. No. He's a little bit of a mental case. He doesn't understand the playbook. It's going to be a disaster.
Like, so I can forgive the mental case. I can forgive the not knowing the playbook. He cannot hit a wide open receiver in the hand. No, I don't even want to say in the hands. He can't hit a wide open receiver in the chest, in the knees, in the elbow, off the helmet, within 3 feet. I don't know. What's like a 4-foot wingspan? Is there anything reasonable?
They might need Galladay because Galladay does make some amazing catches. So they might need someone that can stretch out and make these miraculous catches.
But still, why bring in Galladay? That's going to be
it's going to be $20 million a year.
Talent.
But they're going to need him.
Totally.
They're going to need him to be able to catch. No regular receiver can catch his Cam Newton throws. You got to get a freak that can make these amazing catches.
I heard today there's
some Robert Woods. I would trade for Robert Woods. He'd make those catches.
I heard there's some interest out there for N'Keal Harry.
I heard that.
That guy, like that's who people want.
I think they also rebutted that was like N'Keal Harry's free manager, like circulating that to try to
because he's going to get cut.
Drum up some interest.
Not going to get cut. Not going to cut him.
If they bring in some young receivers and a free agent, he's not going to make it. I'm telling you, he's not going to
get cut. He's not going to get cut. He's a first round pick, and the best idea somebody had was convert him to tight end because he's that big.
Yeah, but the stuff that I've heard on N'Keal Harry and it's all sports.
He's just never in the right spot. Never lines up in the right spot.
But he doesn't have the work ethic. He doesn't have the work ethic. He can't stay healthy. That's there's a lot of knocks on him since his rookie year. Like everything that I've heard about him is that he's in it for himself. He's not playing. He's not the mold that Belichick wants, like someone that's immersed.
The hell did he draft him? Look at it. Belichick could have been blindfolded and shot a dart at a board of receiver names and ended up picking a better receiver than him actively choosing N'Keal Harry.
Galladay is not coming to the Patriots.
No, but did you see that draft? I don't know if we're going to continue to do that, go back and revisit the drafts.
We
were talking about that.
Well, as we get closer to the draft, I want to make that a pre-draft episode the week before.
One segment on the wide receivers that were taken after N'Keal Harry.
Awful.
It's painful.
Holy crap.
I still am going to argue.
All the stud receivers that they
so many stud receivers.
It's a shame.
And they never, so they draft a lot of receivers and it always fails. When was the last time the Patriots got a superstar receiver in free agency? And don't say Chad Johnson. It
would have been Randy Moss. Oh no, that was a trade. He was
through a trade. So I don't think it's ever happened. When did they ever get a high...
David Patton, David Gibbons?
They drafted them.
Yep. Well, Gibbons was drafted?
Nobody.
Gibbons was drafted.
Welker, was he a trade or a free agent?
He was a trade from Miami, right?
But he wasn't like he was like he was
Joey Galloway was a free agent. Rishi Caldwell was a free agent.
Yeah, it's all.
What about Troy Brown?
Over the hill.
Drafted.
No, he was drafted by Parcells. Yeah, nobody. There's nobody. There's no way. I mean, it's never happened in Belichick's time here with the Patriots, bringing in not even a good receiver free agent. Never mind the best free agent receiver that's out there today. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
We didn't touch a lot on fantasy here, but I did want to quickly run through.
We peppered it in.
We did, but I did want to throw in some of the running backs that are still in free agency that could make an impact in fantasy. Aaron Jones is still out there. Aaron Jones
free agency hasn't started yet. We don't know if these guys are still out there.
No, but I mean, Aaron Jones didn't they didn't franchise tag him. They didn't bring him back. Like,
okay.
He's out there. He's
officially available.
Right. Chris Carson, he's out there. Fournette, Azar's boy Fournette. James White, of course, whatever. And then that's it. There's not really a lot of other big name free agent running backs. There are some rookies in the draft. And I might be pronouncing his name wrong, out of Alabama, Najee Harris. Najee? Did I say that right, Jarvis?
Yeah, close enough. That's close enough.
Najee. That's what I was going to say that next. Najee Harris out of Alabama. He's a big guy. He's 6'3", 230 pounds. Could he be the next Derrick Henry? They're both Alabama guys. He could be like the guy that you hear about. You know, I think what I've heard is he's the best free agent running back. Not free agent, out of the rookie class that's going to be coming out. And we're going to do a whole segment later on when the
So is he Derrick Henry or is he Trent Richardson? Both Alabama guys.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but it was Trent Richardson wasn't 6'3", 230. Like he's got a similar size to Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry needed a couple of years in the NFL to become Derrick Henry. Yeah. So you might not, but he's a guy that whoever ends up drafting him, he could be like that guy. Because running backs, more than any other position in fantasy, make an immediate impact their rookie year. You see a lot of running backs come out right out of the gate. They're doing well. He could be one of those guys that no one's really talking about that could be a big fantasy impact. The other guy was Travis. Oh God, here we go, Jarvis. Ready? Help me out here. Etienne.
Oh, Etienne. Yeah. The other guy.
Yes, Travis Etienne. Etienne?
I think so, yeah.
Out of Clemson.
Etienne.
Yes, he's the only other guy. But those two guys right there could be fantasy impacts right away. And I can't wait for the NFL draft so we could really break down and then all the guys and then have Antifa Boy tell us that we're wrong and some guy out of Division III college is the best pick.
So,
oh my God.
So next week, if free agency starts next Wednesday, that'd be tough to do a podcast. You almost want to do the podcast. Well, Wednesday evening, right? We said we were going to try to get it in.
The free agency starts at 1, so there'll be a ton of stuff.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a fun. So we can't do it on a Tuesday, but Wednesday.
Mind you, it's St. Patrick's Day, the actual day. So we should have it's gonna be a little bit of a theme, or
I'll have my Guinness.
Do a little bit of a Guinness. All right, we'll do something.
I have Guinness. I have some Guinness and some other stouts that I would enjoy and partake. But
I can hear Antifa Boy saying, "Is it an Irish Guinness?" According to the request of the raccoon one St. Patrick's Day, he said, "I'm down at the old court." He goes, shaking his hands, looks at Antifa, and goes, "I could really use an Irish Guinness." And to this day, Antifa Boy is hung up on saying, as opposed to what other kind of Guinness? Would you like a English Guinness, or would you perhaps like a African Guinness? And he just goes on it. So I'm sure we'll hear that.
Well, Antifa Boy can kiss my pseudo-Irish ass, so it doesn't really matter. It's all right. It's all right. He means well. He means well, though.
Does he?
I think he does. He's got that humor that doesn't always land, but I think he's trying. He tries to keep up with us because we are a pack of we're a bunch of jerks. And we can be jerks, and it's tough if you're not used to being that kind of like ribbing into people all the time. Sometimes you throw your haymakers, and sometimes they don't land. It's okay. It's okay. Or you could just get angry like R3 and just like punch your way out of the situation. But it's okay. Like it's just. But when you put a band of misfits together like we have, not everybody's gonna fit how they do. I mean, look at poor Mr. Roper. Like his humor, like talking about a thud every time he makes a joke. It's just
swing and a miss.
And so he stays quiet And I understand that because when he does throw something out, you're like, oh, okay. All right, you know, and there are other people that we've seen have phased out of our group because they can't take our type of humor. We're relentless. So I give Antifa Boy credit. He hangs in.
He's right. He's like comedic napalm. He just comes in with a flamethrower to the whole thing.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the cockroach, he doesn't actually throw any humor. He just does so much like clip art, like photoshopping
Photoshop
that are hysterical. But that's what he contributes to the group. I mean,
yes. The contribution by Cockroach is pretty strong because I think of all the guys like that we shit on each other, I think Cockroach gets the least because people know they're going to be memed to death if they do. They know they're going to be the end of the endless memes and you know, we could take a few here and there, but my God, he will send 100. It's like, where the hell are these all coming from?
You know what? That's the funny thing is that when you say, "Hey, that was funny," it triggers like, "Well, I'm going to send 40 more of them," and you're like, all right, we just killed the thread. Like, and I'm done. I sign out.
He's got meme autism. Like he can.
So you know,
that's terrible. I'm going to hell for that.
Yeah, but he's but again, like I said, I'm just going back to defending Antifa Boy. He means well. He tries to hang, and I give him credit for that because not a lot of people will sit and hang. They'll just wuss out and not even try. So I appreciate the humor, even though it can be a resound. It's a Roper thud once in a while. That's all I gotta call it.
Well, his go-to is just shitting on Super Spreader. Like there is a visceral hate that he tries to like. Oh, you guys didn't laugh. Well, let's shit on him and maybe somebody will laugh. Yeah. It's like you didn't laugh at my joke. Well, F you, Super Spreader. We all.
Yeah,
it's the hashtag Super Spreader sucks.
Yes, that's right.
Just throw that out there. And you get a little chuckle.
It gives us a laugh. So you know what? Our merry band of misfits here that we are.
Listen, we got to do
our humor.
We got to do in one of these podcasts. We actually have to introduce each character, like R3, the resident angry, violent drunk. You know, Anthony. We got to go through and spell out each name so that everybody can go back to the podcast in the very opening. Only listen to the first couple of minutes and be like, "Oh yeah, that's who they were talking about," and then go back.
Okay. We'll give you like a guide.
Yeah, exactly right. That would be good. Maybe we could put it up on our YouTube page.
Yeah, tweet it out.
Have it out
do
there.
A little graphic, tweet it out. Have Cockroach do like a meme and like, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
God forbid, do we put faces next to these?
No.
Does
R3 with a picture of the Incredible Hulk smashing?
We can't have Cockroach meme. Put a meme out there with our pictures.
Don't instigate it.
You can make his head a cockroach, so nobody actually knows who he is.
There you go.
We'll need his photoshopping abilities for that. But all right, well, boys, we're gonna wrap it up there. I think it was a joyful, full of laughs podcast right there. So, we'll leave it on a high note. All right, any closing thoughts, or are we good?
No, we're good. I'm gonna go back to drinking another Wicked Double here. Wicked Double New England IPA, so delicious.
Oh God, he's got a problem.
I didn't pee once this podcast.
You didn't. I was a little disappointed. I was waiting for the little show, but I didn't see a show this time, Jarvis.
All right,
little show. It's a big show.
Bravo.
It was an unremarkable show.
It's unremarkable. Damn it. All right. See you later.
Have a good night.
See you guys.
Sign off, everyone.